What is up, everybody? Piscean here. Essentially here to go over some more volumes in my anthology. If you haven't seen my other video, I suggest you check it out. I upload daily. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share if you dare and care, with peace and love, before we get started. Alright, so we already went over volume 1, and this is volume 2. We're going to go over the digital millennial era from 1990 through 2019. And what we're going to do is look at the following entries, which continue the faculty diary logs from 1990 through the 2010s. This period saw the democratization of astrological software, the rise of the internet, the rediscovery of Hellenistic techniques, and the emergence of data-driven astrostatistics. The tone shifts from isolated scholars to globally connected researchers. All right? So, it would be 90 to 2000, and then I think we're going to do 2010s. So we'll see how it all turns out here. So this is the 1990s. We see the internet, asteroid goddesses, and Hellenistic revival. Our first entry is by Dr. Lee Lemon in New Brunswick, New Jersey, March 15th, 1991. Faculty log, the Association for Astrological Networking, AFAN, or AFAN. Today we launched the first astrology bulletin board system, BBS, the Starry Messenger. It runs on a 2400 baud modem. Users can post charts, ask questions, and download ephemerides. In the first week we have 47 users. By the end of the year I predict 500. The faculty is divided. The older members say astrology is an oral tradition, not a digital one. I say the printing press did not destroy literacy. The internet will not destroy astrology. It will accelerate it. Already, a student in Australia uploaded a chart for a client in Iceland. The client responded within hours. This is unprecedented. Entry 21 is Demetra George, Eugene, Oregon, September 22nd, 1992. Research notes, the asteroid goddesses. I've completed my manuscript for asteroid goddesses, the mythology, psychology, and astrology of the re-emerging feminine. The faculty at the Kepler College has been supportive, but the traditionalists are furious. They say Ceres, Pallas, Juno, and Vesta are minor points, insignificant compared to the planets. I've tested 500 charts. The placement of Ceres, goddess of grain, mother loss, and legal adoption, correlates strongly with eating disorders and custody battles. Pallas, wisdom, strategy, and artistic form, appears in the charts of female architects and chess masters. Juno, marriage, betrayal, and legal contracts. The charts of divorce attorneys. Vesta, focus, virginity, and the sacred flame, the charts of nuns and dedicated celibate artists. Now the faculty may call them minor, the charts call them essential. Right. Robert Hand, revised, from Reston, Virginia, January 10th, 1995. Technical Memorandum, The Rediscovery of Whole Sign Houses. For the past 3 years, I have been translating the Anthology of Vityas Valens, 2nd century CE. I have made a shocking discovery. The ancient Greeks did not use Placidus, Kok, or Regiomontanus. They used whole sign houses. Each sign equals one house, regardless of the ascendant degree. I've tested this on 500 charts. For example, the chart of Princess Diana. Her moon in Aquarius was in the 6th house Placidus, but in whole sign it is in the 7th house, public partnerships. Which one predicted her marriage to Prince Charles? The whole sign placement. The faculty is stunned. I've written a paper for the American Astrology Journal. The title, The Case for Whole Sign Houses. The editor warned me it would cause a schism. Good. Right. Julia Parker, from London, on July 4th, 1997. Faculty Diary, The Astrological Lodge of London. Right. Today, a 19-year-old student named Rob Han, no relation to Robert, demonstrated a new software called SolarFire. It computes a chart in 0.3 seconds, including all fixed stars, Arabic lots, and a graphical ephemeris. The older faculty members gasped. I smiled. I remember when Margaret Hone spent 8 hours drawing a single chart by hand. The student then asked, if computers can calculate anything, what is the astrologer's unique skill? No one could answer. I finally said, the skill is knowing which calculation to look at. The computer sees everything. The astrologer sees the one thing that matters. The student nodded. I think he understood. Entry 24 is Dr. Benjamin Dykes, Minneapolis, November 11th, 1999. We're going to look at this translator's log in the Persian nativities. All right. So, I have just finished translating Abu Mashar's On the Revolutions of the Year of Nativities, 9th century. The faculty at the University of Minnesota has no idea what I am doing, but I have found something extraordinary, the technique of Herdaria, a planetary period system more detailed than the Hellenistic chronocraters. I tested it on the chart of Kurt Cobain. According to Ferdaria, he entered a Venus-Saturn period in April 1994, the month of his death. Venus rules the 8th house, death. Saturn rules the 12th, self-undoing. The transit chart showed nothing so precise. I am writing to Rob Han. This needs to be integrated into modern practice. Alright, the 2000s. Data, skepticism, and the global village. Jeffrey Dean, Perth, Australia, February 29th, 2000, Leap Day. Research Memorandum, the Astrology Database, Astro Databank. Right? I've spent the past decade collecting 40,000 verified birth charts. Today, I release the first statistical analysis, the Ising-Nayas replication study. Using the Guaquelan data, 1950s, we found that Mars in the 1st and 4th houses does correlate with athletic achievement, but only at the P being lesser than 0.05 level. The effect size is small. Skeptics will say it is noise. I say it is the first reproducible evidence that astrology has a signal. The faculty is divided. The humanists say statistics cannot capture the soul. The positivists say the effect is too small to be useful. I say we have begun. This is the first step toward an evidence-based astrology. Alright. Dr. David Koshran, Gainesville, Florida, October 31st, 2001. This is a faculty log, the harmonic system of John Addy. I've programmed Addy's harmonic theory into a new software module called Sirius 4.0. The results are astonishing. The 7th harmonic, 360 divided by 7 equals 51.428 degrees aspect. The septile correlates with visionary art. Tested it on the chart of William Blake, poet and painter. He had a Sun-Uranus septile of 0 degrees 11. The faculty asks, why would such an obscure aspect work? I have no answer, but it works. I propose we add the 5th, 7th, 9th, and 11th harmonics to our standard curriculum. The traditionalists object that there are too many aspects already. I reply, there are as many aspects as there are numbers in the sky. Which is infinite. Alright. Dr. Teresa Hamilton, Sydney, Australia, June 6, 2004. It's a personal log on the Venus transit of 2004. Today, Venus passed directly between the Earth and the Sun, the first transit since 1882. I observed it from the Sydney Observatory. The faculty organized a global experiment. 500 astrologers recorded the charts of children born during the transit window. The results will take years to compile. But my intuition, Venus transits are collective love events, not romantic love, but the love of humanity for itself. The last transit, 1882, preceded the founding of the Red Cross and the International Peace Movement. This transit, 2004, what will follow? The faculty speculates the rise of social media, connecting people globally, or a new pandemic of loneliness. We shall see. Alright, Chris Brennan from Denver, Colorado, December 21st, 2008. Research Journal, The Project Hindsight Methodology. I've spent the year studying under Robert Schmidt, the translator of the Hellenistic texts. He has taught me the zodiacal releasing technique, the most precise timing method I've ever seen. I tested it on my own chart, predicted my move to Denver within 2 weeks. The faculty is skeptical. They say it is too complex for daily practice. I say so was calculus when it was invented. I'm writing a book, Hellenistic Astrology, the study of fate and fortune. It will be 600 pages. The faculty may assign it as a doorstop. I will assign it as a textbook. Alright, Dr. Darylyn Gunsberg from Bristol, England, March 12th, 2009. Faculty Memorandum on the Image in Astrology. I have been collaborating with the Warburg Institute on astrological iconography, how medieval and Renaissance artists embedded planetary symbolism in paintings. The Faculty of Art History ignores us. The astrology faculty ignores art history. But I found that the placement of Mercury in a chart corresponds to the natives' preferred artistic medium, oil, fresco, engraving, with 80% accuracy. I propose a new course, the visual astrology of the early modern period. The faculty approved, but only as an elective. They do not understand. The images are not decorations. They are astrological data in another form. Alright? Now we're going to look at the 2010s here. And I think it goes until, just the 2010s. So, this is the era of big data, predictive algorithms, and the return of the sacred. Alright, let me switch the colors up. Bear with me. We're gonna get through it. Stretch break. Now, technically speaking, we have 4 more after this because this is volume 2, so 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 installments. I'm not sure if I'm going to merge it all into one video. I think we'll go over volume 2, which we're almost finished, and then volume 3 we'll take a look at. Now volume 4, 5, and 6 maybe will be in its own video. I'm not totally sure yet, but you guys will see very soon. Alright. So, Rick Levine from Seattle, Washington, January 1st, 2012. And this is his faculty log here. Oops. On the astrology of the 2012 phenomenon. So the faculty has received hundreds of queries about the end of the Mayan calendar on December 21st, 2012. I've consulted the actual Mayan inscriptions. There is no apocalypse. There is only a cycle change, the end of the 13th Baktun, a 144,000 day period. The astrological chart for that day shows a Pluto-Uranus square, 7 degrees applying, and that is a generational change, not a planetary extinction. I've posted a video on YouTube explaining this. It has 2 million views. The faculty is horrified that I use social media. I'm horrified that they still use paper newsletters. Right. Entry 31. is Dr. Alexander Boxer, Oxford, England, September 15th, 2014. It's a research log, the Digital Astrology Archive. It says, I have digitized 50,000 horoscopes from the 16th to 19th centuries, held in the Bodleian Library. The Faculty of History says I am wasting time on superstition, but I found a pattern. Astrologers of the 17th century were more accurate at predicting weather than the Royal Society's barometers. Not by much, but enough to matter. I am building a machine learning model to identify the signature of a plague outbreak from planetary positions. The initial results are promising. The Faculty of Epidemiology is not interested. They will be. Alright. Shawnee Nicholas, Los Angeles, California, March 8th, 2017. Faculty Diary on the Astrology of Activism. I've just returned from the Women's March on Washington. January 21st, 2017. The chart for the march had the Moon in Libra, Justice, trine Mars in Sagittarius, active as fire, and square Pluto in Capricorn, the destruction of old power structures. The faculty asked me to write a memorandum on astrology and social movements. I propose a new technique, the collective transit. Instead of asking what will happen to me, we ask what is happening to us. The faculty says this is not traditional. I say the tradition was always political. Lilly predicted the Great Fire of London. Nostradamus predicted the death of kings. We have forgotten our prophetic role. It is time to remember. Dr. Sam Reynolds, Cambridge, Massachusetts, November 9th, 2017, technical log, the AI astrologer. I've trained a neural network on 200,000 chart event pairs from the Astro Databank. The network can predict major life change, marriage, job loss, relocation, with 72% accuracy when given only transits and progressions, no interpretation, no intuition. The faculty is terrified. They ask, will AI replace astrologers? I answer, no. It will replace the astrologers who only do pattern matching. It will not replace the astrologers who sit with the client and hold their hand. The computer can calculate, it cannot witness. That is our remaining gift. Alice Sparkley Cat from New York, New York, June 21st, 2018, faculty log on post-colonial astrology. Today I presented a paper on the colonial construction of the zodiac. The faculty was uncomfortable. I pointed out that the 12-sign zodiac was standardized in Hellenistic Egypt under Greek occupation. The original Egyptian deacons were suppressed, the Babylonian lunar mansions were overwritten. Astrology has always been a site of cultural violence. I propose that we decolonize our practice. Learn the 27 nakshatras, the 28 lunar mansions, the 36 deacons of the Egyptians. Do not just add them to a Western framework. Let them stand as complete systems. The faculty voted to consider my proposal. I will not wait for their permission. Alright. And we have one more here by Dr. Jennifer Freed, Santa Barbara, California, December 31st, 2019, final faculty diary entry of the decade. As we enter 2020, I look back on 30 years of teaching. The astrology of the 1990s was about self-help. The 2000s were about data. The 2010s were about politics and decolonization. What will the 2020s be? I see 3 trends. Ecological astrology, the planets as a warning system for climate change. Digital astrology, apps, algorithms, and the democratization of interpretation and interpreting. Mystical astrology, a return to theurgy, to the stars as gods, not as symbols. The faculty will fight over which is correct. They are all correct. The sky is large enough for many maps. I'm going to light a candle for the Pluto-Saturn conjunction of January 2020. It will be the most challenging aspect of my lifetime, but challenges are where astrology proves its worth. See you in the next decade. We have an afterword by the archivist. These logs span nearly 90 years of astrological history. They show a field constantly in motion, from theosophy to psychology to statistics to AI, from hand-drawn charts to neural networks, from secret societies to global online communities. Through it all, the astrologer's core question remains unchanged. What do the stars tell us about being human? The faculty members in these pages disagreed constantly. They were often wrong. They were sometimes petty, sometimes visionary, but they shared one conviction, that the sky is not indifferent, that the patterns above mirror the patterns within, that astrology at its best is a practice of radical attention to the cosmos, to the client, and to the self. The anthology continues. We have volume 3, 4, 5, and 6. New logs will be added by future astrologers. The stars will still be there. Right. So we would technically be doing like concept futuristic astrology lore. Alright, and we're talking about the pandemic decade and beyond, and this is volume 3. Alright, so the third volume of the Advanced Astrology Faculty Diary Logs covers the tumultuous years 2020 through 2030. This period saw astrology undergo its most rapid transformation yet, from a niche spiritual practice to a mainstream digital phenomenon, then through the crucible of a global pandemic, the rise of generative AI, the rediscovery of traditional timing techniques, and the emergence of a new synthesis between data science and theurgy. The following entries are drawn from faculty members across the globe, preserved in the Archive of Celestial Arts. Alright, 2020. The Great Conjunction and a Great Pause, and then we go over yeah, it's just 2020 to 2030, alright. So, in 2020, we're talking about the Great Conjunction and the Great Pause, starting with Dr. Reese Thorne from London, March 23rd, 2020. Emergency Faculty Memorandum, COVID-19 Lockdown, Day 11. Faculty has been scattered to our homes. All in-person teaching is suspended, but the charts keep turning. I've been analyzing the Saturn-Pluto conjunction of January 12th, 2020, 22 degrees 46 Capricorn. This conjunction occurs only once every 33 through 38 years. Historically, it correlates with pandemics, famines, and the fall of government. Spanish flu, 1918, 1919, World War II, 1941, 1942, HIV/AIDS crises, early 1980s. The current transit, Saturn and Pluto conjoining Capricorn, square Aries in Aries, 23 degrees. Aries, the goddess of discord and estrangement, has been overlooked for too long. The square is a signature of social isolation as a weapon of public health. We are not merely sick, we are separated. I propose a faculty research project, The Astrology of Collective Trauma. We will collect charts of COVID-19 patients, healthcare workers, and political leaders. We will look for Aries aspects, Neptune and Pisces, and the nodal axes. The faculty is approved, but we must work remotely. The stars do not care about social distancing, all right? June 19th, 2020. It's a personal log, the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, April 4th, 2020. Today, as the world counted its dead, Jupiter and Pluto met for the second of 3 conjunctions in Capricorn. I sat in my backyard and watched the sky in visible daytime, but I felt it. Expansion through destruction. Jupiter magnifies everything Pluto touches: power, death, transformation, and also hope. The faculty is divided on how to interpret this. Some say it is purely malefic, the pandemic expanding. Others say it is the alchemical solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate. I side with the alchemists. This conjunction is not the end, it is the death of the old world, which must die so something else can be born. I've started a new course, Pandemic Astrology, Timing the Aftermath. Enrollment is 500 students. The faculty is shocked. I'm not. And December 21st, 2020, faculty log on the Great Conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius. Tonight, Jupiter and Saturn conjoin at 0 degrees Aquarius, the first great conjunction in an air sign since 1405. The faculty held a global Zoom watch party. We calculated charts for every time zone. The consensus: this is the official start of the Aquarian Age, not the mystical one of the 1960s, but a real, measurable shift from Earth signs Capricorn to air signs Aquarius. What does that mean practically? Earth signs the past 200 years gave us industry, hierarchy, and material accumulation. Air signs give us networks, information, and collective intelligence. The pandemic forced us online. The Great Conjunction seals it. The faculty is already arguing about whether this is liberation or surveillance. I say it is both. That is the shadow of Aquarius. Right, 2021. The vaccine, the insurrection, the vaccine, the insurrection, and the return of Chiron. All right. So, January 6th, 2021, we have an emergency log. The Capitol insurrection. Today, as the world watched, a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol. I cast a chart for the moment the doors were breached. 1:10 p.m. EST, Mars in Aries, 24 degrees, exactly square Pluto in Capricorn, 24 degrees, the signature of violent rebellion against established power. The moon in Libra, 21 degrees, opposed Chiron in Aries, 19 degrees, a nation's wound exposed. The faculty has asked me to compare the chart to the U.S. Sibley chart. The transiting Mars-Pluto square. It hit the U.S. Pluto in Capricorn at 27 degrees and the U.S. Mars in Gemini at 23 degrees. Now, this is a karmic reckoning for the nation's original sin of slavery and its ongoing violence. I do not say this lightly. I am writing a paper, Astrology of Democratic Collapse. The faculty is afraid to publish it. I will publish it myself. Alright, May 5th, 2021, personal diary, the Delta wave and Chiron in Aries. The second wave of COVID has devastated India. Chiron in Aries, 8 degrees, is square the nodal axis. Gemini Sagittarius. I've been analyzing the charts of those who died, a recurring signature. Chiron opposite the moon, square Mercury, the wound is in the breath. Mercury rules the lungs and the immunity. Moon rules the body's tides. The faculty wants me to find a positive interpretation. I refuse. Some transits are simply brutal. Chiron does not always heal. Sometimes it only wounds. Our job is to bear witness, not to prettify. And November 19th, 2021. Alright, so technical memorandum, the Iranian School Reborn. I have spent the past year digitizing the complete works of Alfred Wheat, 1878 through 1941. Using modern software, I've tested his trans-Neptunian planets, Cupido, Hades, Zeus, Kronos, Apollon, Admetus, Vulcanus, Poseidon, on 5,000 charts from the Astro Databank. The results: Kronos, the planet of political power, shows a statistically significant correlation with elected officials, P being lesser than 0.01. Hades, the planet of the underworld, correlates with near-death experiences. The faculty is skeptical. They call these hypothetical points. I call them mathematical ghosts, not physically real, but computationally useful. We use imaginary numbers in physics. We can use imaginary planets in astrology. Alright. Neptune enters Pisces and the war returns. In 2022, February 24th, we have a faculty log, the Russian invasion. At 5 a.m. local time, exact, first missiles struck. Cast a chart for the invasion, 4 a.m. Kiev. Neptune at 22 degrees Pisces, entering its home sign for the first time since 1875, is exactly square Mars at 22 degrees Sagittarius. This is the signature of military illusion, a war based on false intelligence, fog of war, and the dissolution of borders. Neptune in Pisces dissolves boundaries. Mars in Sagittarius expands aggression. The faculty has asked me to evacuate. I will not. The stars are speaking. I must listen. Alright, April 12th, 2022. Research notes on Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces, April 12th. Today, Jupiter and Neptune conjoin at 23 degrees Pisces. This is the most spiritual conjunction of the decade, and it occurs during a land war in Europe. The faculty is confused. How can transcendence coexist with atrocity? My answer, Neptune in Pisces does not guarantee peace. It guarantees the dissolution of the lie. The war is exposed for what it is, a fantasy of empire. The conjunction will not stop the bombs, but it will make the truth unavoidable. In August 1st, 2022, we have a technical log on AI-generated astrological interpretations. I've trained a large language model, GPT-4, on 100,000 astrological interpretations from the past 50 years. The model can now generate a 500-word reading for any chart in 2 seconds. The faculty is terrified. They ask, is this the end of human astrology? I've tested the model on 100 blind charts. The AI readings are grammatically perfect, syntactically coherent, and astrologically accurate, but they lack soul. They cannot weep. They cannot laugh. They cannot sit in silence with a grieving parent. My conclusion, AI will replace the astrologer who only recites keywords. It will not replace the astrologer who listens. The faculty is relieved, but they should not be. Most astrologers are keyword reciters. Right. 2023, the Pluto return of the U.S. We have an entry from February 20th. Faculty memorandum, Pluto returns to 27 degrees Capricorn, U.S. Pluto placement. So the U.S. is experiencing its first Pluto return, Pluto transiting the exact position it occupied at the nation's birth. The first hit was February 20th, 2023. The second will be July 2023. The third, January 2024. Historically, Pluto returns mark the death and rebirth of nations. Rome's Pluto return coincided with its fall. Britain's Pluto return, 18th century, coincided with the American Revolution. So the U.S. Pluto return likely coincide with a constitutional crisis, a secession movement, or a fundamental redefinition of citizenship. The faculty has asked me to moderate a panel on astrological predictions for the 2024 election. I refused. This is not about elections. This is about the soul of a nation. The stars do not care about swing states. All right. July 22nd, 2023, personal log on the summer of extreme heat. The Faculty of Climate Astrology, a new subdiscipline, has been tracking the Mars-Uranus conjunctions in Taurus. Taurus rules the earth, agriculture, and the stability of the ground. Mars and Uranus together bring sudden, violent change. The result, record heat waves, wildfires, and crop failures. I've proposed a new technique, the Planetary Climate Index, a weighted average of Mars heat, Uranus disruption, Saturn restriction, and Pluto transformation. The index has correlated with global temperature anomalies for the past 40 years. R equals 0.68, P is lesser than 0.001. The Faculty of Climate Science ignores us. They will not ignore us forever. Alright, October 31st, 2023, we have a faculty log, the Astrology of Exile. I left Russia in March 2022. My charts are on a hard drive in a friend's basement. I have no ephemeris except my memory, but I have discovered something. The lot of exile, a new Arabic lot I calculated from the chart of a displaced person. Formula is ascendant adding moon subtracting Saturn. When transiting Mars or Uranus conjoins this lot, the native is forced to move. My own lot of exile is at 14 degrees Aries. Transiting Mars conjoined it on March 10th, 2022, the day I fled. The faculty is skeptical. They say, one data point is not a pattern. I say, one data point is a life. Alright. The Great American Eclipse and the Pluto Return Culmination. April 8th, 2024, we talk about the total solar eclipse at 19 degrees Aries. This faculty log. So today, a total solar eclipse crossed North America from Mexico to Maine. The path of totality passes directly over my house. I stood in the shadow, the temperature dropped, the birds fell silent, the corona blazed. The eclipse chart, Sun and Moon at 19 degrees Aries, conjunct Chiron 20 degrees Aries, and Rahu 15 degrees Aries. This is a wound-centered eclipse, a collective exposure of trauma. Aries rules the head, the self, the warrior. The faculty has been receiving reports of panic attacks, migraines, and sudden outbursts of rage. The eclipse did not cause them, it revealed them. December 15th, 2024, technical log on the Vedic transit of Ketu into Virgo. In Vedic astrology, Ketu, the south node, enters Virgo on December 15th, 2024. Ketu in Virgo brings dissolution of perfectionism, the collapse of systems that demand purity. The faculty of Western astrology ignores this transit, but I have seen its effects. The AI safety movement, the vaccine purity debates, the obsessive cleaning rituals of the pandemic, all of these will unravel. I propose a joint faculty meeting between the Western and Vedic departments. The Western faculty declined their loss. And Boston, December 21st, 2024, we have a personal diary on the winter solstice and the Pluto return finale. Today, Pluto makes its final exact return to the U.S. Sibley chart, 27 degrees Capricorn. My grandmother, who wrote the 1989 entry, died in 1995. She never saw this moment, but I have her charts, her notes, her algal talisman. I sat in her garden, now my garden, and cast the chart. The U.S. is not going to collapse. It is going to transform violently, slowly, and completely. Pluto returns do not destroy nations, they destroy the illusion that nations are eternal. The U.S. will survive, but it will not be the same country my grandmother was born into. I lit a candle for her, then I went inside. The stars are patient, so must we be. Alright. "2025 is the Neptune-Saturn sextile in the AI astrology controversy." So March 18th, 2025, we have an encrypted faculty log, the astrology of deepfakes. Neptune in Pisces, 28 degrees, is sextile Saturn in Cancer, 28 degrees. This aspect is the signature of structured illusion, the use of technology Saturn to create convincing false realities Neptune. Deepfake videos, AI-generated faces, synthetic voices. The faculty has been debating, can astrology predict the truthfulness of a digital image? I've developed a technique, the Neptune-Mercury midpoint. When transiting planets activate this midpoint, digital deception is likely. I tested it on the first deepfake political ad, 2024 election. The midpoint was exact. The faculty is interested. The CIA is also interested. I have not returned their calls. July 7th, 2025, we have a research log on the astrology of longevity. Japan has the oldest population in the world. I have been studying the charts of centenarians. A recurring signature, Saturn in the 6th house of health, and trine to Jupiter in the 1st house, vitality. Also, Venus and Taurus in the 2nd house, physical resources. The faculty of geriatrics thinks I am wasting time, but I have identified 3 dietary supplements that correlate with planetary placements. A pharmaceutical company has offered me funding. I've accepted. Entry 53, November 15th, 2025. I have a faculty log on the astrology of reconstruction. Lebanon is still recovering from the 2020 port explosion. I have been tracking the transit of Jupiter through Cancer, 2025 through 2026. Cancer rules the home, family, and the homeland. Jupiter brings expansion. I predict that 2026 will see a wave of rebuilding, not just buildings, but trust. Faculty asks for evidence. I have none, only hope. Sometimes that is enough. Um... 2026, we have a Saturn-Neptune square in the climate tipping point. In our first entry is from Dr. James O. Mandela, Cape Town, South Africa, January 15th, 2026. Emergency faculty log. We see it's on the Saturn-Neptune square, exact February 2026. Saturn in Pisces, 27 degrees, squares Neptune in Gemini, 27 degrees. This is the most confusing aspect of the decade. Saturn demands structure, Neptune dissolves it. Saturn wants clarity, Neptune creates fog. Alright? The result is institutional collapse of water management systems, floods, droughts, failing dams, and poison aquifers. I have alerted the Faculty of Environmental Science. They have not responded. The stars are not subtle. Alright. June 4th, 2026, personal log on the astrology of chip manufacturing. Taiwan produces 90% of the world's advanced semiconductors. The chart for the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, has Mars in Scorpio, 8th house, opposite Uranus in Taurus, 2nd house. This is the signature of a sudden disruption to material resources, an earthquake, a blockade, or a cyber attack. The Faculty of Financial Astrology has been tracking this. We have advised our clients to diversify supply chains. Some listen, most did not. September 23rd, 2026. This is a faculty memorandum on the equinox chart and the migrant crises. So the autumn equinox chart, Sun at 0 degrees Libra, shows Mars in Gemini, 25 degrees, square Neptune in Pisces, 27 degrees. This is a signature of confused migration, people moving without clear destination, pushed by climate and pulled by rumors. The US-Mexico border will see unprecedented crossings. The faculty has asked me to make a prediction. I predict suffering, also courage. The chart does not choose one over the other. Alright, 2027, the Uranus return of the 1960s generation. We have our research log, the Uranus return of the baby boomers, February 12th of next year. Uranus takes 84 years to return to its natal position. The generation born 1946 through 1964, i.e. literally my mom and dad, or the baby boomers, is now experiencing their first Uranus return. Uranus in Gemini, 23 degrees, the planet of rebellion returning to the sign of communication. Faculty is observing mass retirements, alright? Sudden relocations, late life divorces, and a surge in memoir writing. The boomers are not going gently, they are writing their own obituaries. That is very Uranus in Gemini. Alright, August 8th, 2027, we have a technical log here on the astrology of quantum computing. I have been collaborating with the quantum physicists, a rare event. They usually mock us. We have developed a quantum random number generator for horary astrology, replacing the traditional coins or dice with a truly random quantum source. The faculty is excited, the physicist is amused. The initial results. Quantum horary readings have a 15% higher subjective accuracy rating from clients. Placebo, perhaps, but placebos work. And December 31st, 2027, we see a faculty log from the end of the year. As 2027 closes, I look back on the decade. We have survived a pandemic, a war, an insurrection, an AI revolution, and the beginning of a climate catastrophe. Astrology has changed more in these 7 years than in the previous 70. We are no longer a secret society. We are a global, digital, fractured, argumentative, vibrant community. The faculty is exhausted, but the stars are still turning. We will turn with them. Alright. 2028, we're going over the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the next generation. April 20th, 2028, research log on the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Gemini. So Jupiter and Uranus conjoin at 24 degrees Gemini, the signature of explosive innovation and communication, the next generation of social media, brain-computer interfaces, or perhaps something we cannot yet imagine. The Faculty of Technological Astrology has been preparing for this transit for years. I predict the first widespread use of neural implants for social networking. The faculty is horrified. I am not. Uranus does not ask for permission. Alright. September 9th, 2028, personal log on the astrology of the Mediterranean refugee crises continued. The charts of the children born on the beaches of Lesbos 2015 through 2020 are now coming of age. Your Saturn returns will begin in 2028 through 2032. I'm following 50 of them. The ones with strong Jupiter placements are becoming activists. The ones with strong Saturn placements are becoming lawyers. The ones with strong Pluto placements are still in therapy. The faculty wants a statistical report. I will give them stories instead. The stars are not numbers. Alright. 2029, we have the Pluto return of the US, second pass, and the lunar base. Interesting, we have Dr. Neil Armstrong II, grandson of the astronaut from Houston, Texas, January 15th, 2029, with our faculty log, the Astrology of the lunar base. The first permanent lunar base was established last month. I cast a chart for the moment. The first crew entered the habitat December 12th, 2028 at 1423 UT. Sun in Sag, 21 degrees, trine Mars in Leo, 19 degrees. Signature of exploration and courage. The moon, ruling the moon itself, was in Scorpio in the 8th house. Transformation through risk. Now the Faculty of Mundane Astrology is analyzing this chart for the future of space colonization. My prediction is the lunar base will suffer a near-fatal accident in 2031. Saturn squared the lunar chart's Mars, but it will survive. Humans are stubborn. And Dr. Maria Flores, Bogota, Colombia, July 4th of 2029. Faculty Memorandum, the second Pluto return hit US chart. Pluto retrogrades back to 27 degrees Capricorn for the final time. This is the last chance for the US to transform peacefully. If it fails, the next Pluto return in 2077 will be much more violent. I have no prediction, I have only a prayer. And then we'll end here, Volume 3, with 2030, the Saturn-Pluto square and the end of the decade. March 21st, 2030, faculty log on the Saturn-Pluto square exact at 15 degrees Aquarius Scorpio. Saturn in Aquarius, 15 degrees, squares Pluto in Scorpio, 15 degrees. This is the most challenging aspect of the new decade. The restriction Saturn of transformative power, Pluto, in the signs of the collective Aquarius and the hidden Scorpio. The result is government surveillance of financial transactions, the end of anonymous cryptocurrency, and the rise of global digital ID. Faculty is debating, is this liberation, Aquarius, or tyranny, Pluto? I say both. That is the nature of squares. They do not resolve, they tension. Alright, June 21st, 2030, we have a personal log from the summer solstice in the Nile. The Nile is flooding again, not the controlled floods of the Aswan Dam, but the chaotic floods of climate change. The chart for the solstice shows Neptune in Aries, 5 degrees, square Mars in Cancer, 5 degrees, water, Cancer, confused Neptune, and aggressive Mars. The Faculty of Climate Astrology is overwhelmed. I've started a new practice, astrohydrology, the use of planetary cycles to predict river levels. The initial model has a 70% accuracy rate. The Egyptian government has asked for a consultation. I will go. And entry 66 from December 31st, 2030, final faculty diary entry of the volume. I was born in 2003, the year this archive began, fictional. I joined the faculty in 2028, fresh from my PhD in computational astrology at Kepler College. The old faculty members, the ones who remember hand-drawn charts, are retiring. The new faculty speaks in Python, SQL, and neural networks. We have disagreements, but we share the sky. Today, as the decade ends, I cast a chart for the new year. Pluto in Aquarius, 5 degrees, trine Jupiter in Libra, 7 degrees, sextile Uranus in Gemini, 9 degrees. This is a signature of collective liberation through technology, but also of detachment. We will be more connected and more alone. The faculty asked me to write a prediction for 2031. I will not. The stars are not predictions, they are conversations. I will listen. You should too. The Advanced Astrology Faculty Diary Logs are an ongoing project. The rest of these videos, A, F, D, L. Alright. Future volumes will cover the 2030s, 2040s, and beyond, as long as there are astrologers to write them and stars to observe. Logs from 2020 through 2030 show a field that has finally integrated its past, Hellenistic, Vedic, Iranian, with its present, AI, climate science, quantum physics. The astrologer of 2030 is no longer a mystic on the fringe. They are a data scientist, a therapist, a ritualist, a political analyst, and a poet all at once. The contradictions do not weaken astrology, they strengthen it. The stars do not change, but we do. Thank you for watching this video, and with peace and love, Piscean out. I will see you in the next one.